I want to thank everybody for coming. I've got 3 stories I want to tell, and these 3 stories are going to tell a little bit about the personality that my mom had. I think everybody knows my mom had plants, and my mom could take any kind of plant. It wasn't just orchids. She could take any kind of plant and make it grow and come to life. I don't have a green thumb, so I used to try to grow things, and they would end up dying, and I could take literally a dead stick to her, and she could bring it back to life. She used to work sun up to sunset on these plants every day, and our family was heavily involved in these orchids and plants. We got a little famous thing in our family, it's called the list. And when you would get there, my mom would take a little piece of little pad and write down with a pencil what your chores were when you showed up to visit. And I think the grandkids were involved, all of us were involved. Every time you went, she had a list for you to do. And I used to feel relieved when I finally get my list finished, because then I could finally sit down and talk and relax and see what's going on. Now, this second story takes place after we first moved to Hollywood, so this is in the late 70s. And I was 19, 20 years old, and back in the day, you could actually drink when you were 18 years old. So we had this little place in Hollywood called Doug's Place. And it was just a little block building with a bar inside, and it's typical, it's a juke joint is what it was. And so all my friends, we used to hang out at this little bar. So one night, Saturday night, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and all the doors were open and windows because it's a hot day. And I happen to look I'm talking to my friends inside, and I look out and I see this pickup in the parking lot, and I'm like, man, that looks like my mom's truck. And sure enough, she came right by the front door, and my mom was driving. I was like, oh, please don't come in here and embarrass me in front of my friends. Well, she didn't come in. She kept on going, and she went home. So after I saw that, I waited about 10 minutes, and I went to the house. And when I walked in the door, my mom was waiting for me. And this might sound like a cliche, but this is exactly what she told me. She goes, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. And the bad thing about it was, I actually believed her, because my mom, she was, my parents believed in whippings, and I got my share of whippings, but you always wanted to get a whipping from my dad instead of my mom, because my mom really, when you got a whipping from my mom, it really meant something. So, this third story, so about 4 months ago, my mom got to where she couldn't hear on the phone, and when I would call her from Hawaii, it was really no kind of communication at all, because she couldn't understand what I was saying. So it was terrible that we couldn't communicate. So one day I get a letter in the mail, and I opened it up, and my mom had written me like a 2-page letter, just handwritten letter. And on a side note, I responded to this letter by email. And as soon as she got that response by email, she wrote me back, immediately, you owe me a written response. So to her, I guess email was a cheap form of communication. She was old school. She wanted a written letter in return. And so I had to sit down, and I probably hadn't written a letter in 30 years, and sit down and actually write a letter to her. In that letter, she told me that she had believed in God all her life, and she knew where she was going when she died. And that letter has given me great comfort in her last days. John 3:16 tells us, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Just like my mom, God has a list for you on this earth, and she's completed her list here on earth, and now she can go home and relax, and she's finally home with her family. Cue the song.
Just a few days ago, we lost Mom. I'd like to say God added another angel, but the truth is, she's probably already making to-do lists for him, St. Peter, and everybody else. If you were going to visit Mom, you could guarantee you had a to-do list, just like David talked about, with more things on it than you could do, and that you always had to hunt for a broken tool or some missing part to complete one of the jobs. In recent years, I learned a lot of things about Mom that I never knew. She wanted to be a doctor. She actually applied to medical school in 1949 after graduating from Erskine, but she was turned down. And I never knew that Mom almost failed the first grade because of poor attendance. Everyone thought she didn't want to go to school, but it turned out, and they didn't find out for months later, that she had malaria, and that was why she was so tired. Dad was the one who got her interested in the orchids and insisted she needed a greenhouse. We were being run out of the house, he told her. When they got married, she just kept adding and adding, and Dad said they were in a tropical paradise, so they bought a prefab greenhouse. Shortly after that, he bought her an orchid for their anniversary. And as Paul Harvey said, and now you know the rest of the story. We hold fond memories of Mom traveling with her army pick and shovel, saying, "George, stop the car, I see Osmundo!" Or digging up wildflowers when she would walk around the family farm. Dad would stop for her to dig plants, but not for a bathroom break. We moved U-Haul orchids from one house to another and helping to haul orchids from the greenhouse into the house whenever a hurricane threatened. You can tell from listening to David, this was a very common thing. When I was in elementary school, I came home from school and I had to have a pilgrim costume, and it was a couple days before I needed it. She bought materials, made a pattern, sewed the perfect costume. She was a great seamstress. She sewed clothes for us, a wardrobe for my Barbie doll. She knitted clothes for my dolls, and she customized the family stockings, which everyone treasures the stocking that they have that Mama made them. My husband loves his because it's got the Brittany on it and him with the hunting hat and the gun. He got his customized when he was an adult, so it was a lot easier to do. She was passionate about gardening and cared for her plants like they were her children. When she had to give up the orchids because she could no longer care for them, she gave them to her best friend Steve. She knew he would care for them as she had for so many years. And Steve is the one that did this beautiful arrangement, and a lot of these flowers are the ones that Mama grew, that Mama had, and he's even got tags with her handwritten labels on some of them. She contributed much to the orchid world in the last 60 years. Her most valued contributions were as Mom and Amma. In recent years, I would also have to say she was a special friend. But recently, she was unable to do for herself. She was always a strong, incredibly smart, and independent woman, but her body declined even though her mind was still sharp as a tack. For a woman who was independent all her life, at times very stubbornly independent, and very difficultly independent, this was hard for her to accept. She did not want to be a burden and hid how bad she really was doing until she fell in February and couldn't hide it anymore. Now the end of time is here. We always joked about the end of time. And though I will miss her every day, I know she is not in pain, and I hope that I can be content with that